I'll tell Ryan how he does it. All right, so we're live. Welcome back to the Going the Distance podcast. Ryan is out. He's got his 2-year anniversary with his girlfriend, so it's gonna be a pretty football heavy podcast today. So you don't have to hear none of this European sports that Ryan likes. No F1 talk, no soccer talk, just straight up American football.
I respect it. I don't know enough. I don't have the time in my day enough to know enough about all of those things to like talk about them.
I keep up with just enough just to hold the conversation. So
yeah,
but it's still good fun. I still like the sports. I want to get more into them, but I mean, it's football season.
Oh yeah,
let's be real.
F1 is electric.
Yeah,
but like, I can't even really get into the NBA until we get like all the way to like the playoffs.
Right. Same here. People were this guy was trying to talk to me about the Bulls, and I was like, dude, it's football season. I don't know why you're talking to me about that.
I'm a can't watch NBA until Christmas Day. Christmas Day hits, I'm in. I'm opting in on the NBA season.
100%. But make sure before you get any further, check out our Twitch, check out our YouTube, check out our Spotify, Apple Podcast. Everything can be found at GTD Sports. Twitter at GTD Sports. TikTok is going to be at gtdsports.com. You can see it all underneath there. All that good stuff. I think that's everything that Ryan does in the intro. I don't know. I usually just tune him out during this part. But highlight, low light. Noah, start us off.
All right. Also, for those of y'all who do not know who I am, I'm Noah Parker. I am on the Blanket Coverage podcast. Also via GTD Sports. We are super pumped to have teamed up with them. Really enjoying it. I'll start off. Highlight. Got 5 Warzone Rebirth wins on Sunday night during the Sunday night game, which I did watch. It was just like on my phone in the corner while I was just absolutely shredding kids on Warzone. So that was fun. And then low light, football related low light, was super excited. Story time, back up, mid-season. My high school team faced off with our rival who we beat in the state championship last year. But Trent Dilfer's high school squad, the Lipscomb Academy Mustangs, shout out Trent Dilfer, former Super Bowl winning quarterback at the helm, beat them last year. This year, we faced them during the regular season, went to that game, and it was 38-0, Lipscomb Academy. And then watched my high school play in the state championship last week. Was super pumped. Really wanted to see another state ring for those guys. I know it was really cool getting to win one while I was there. And we got beat like 28-0. It was a blowout. Our team sucked. So that was the low light of the week for sure.
Well, at least you got there. I went to a smaller school in the DFW area, and we were terrible. And then my senior year, it was the first time we won a game in 3 years, and we stormed the field. So
that's pretty electric, though.
Yeah, it was great.
I don't mean to sound like douchey about this at all. We were like the exact opposite. But my freshman and junior years, we went to state, lost tough games, and we were undefeated the entire season except for those games. Well, my junior year we lost 1, but we didn't lose more than 2 games for my sophomore year. We went undefeated. We didn't lose more than 2 games for my first 3 years. We only returned 3 starters my senior year. I was not a starter before that. I was one of those first-time starters. But my senior year, we returned 3 starters and lost our first 4 games and got absolutely smacked in every one. Still made it to state semis, but started out 0-4. That was rough.
Yeah. I don't know. Can't relate at all, though. So for high school teams. But so my highlight of the week is that, so I got too drunk at the bar and I woke up and I was like, oh shit, I definitely spent like $300. I was terrified to check my bank account for like hours, and it got to like late in the afternoon. I was like, okay, I need to know how much money I spent, and it was only $94, and I was really excited. I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I had a similar situation. I Thanksgiving weekend, had some buddies in town. We all get together, go out. I thought I lost my ID. Found it in like a back corner of my wallet that I never put anything in. And only spent $30, and I was sure I spent like $50.
There you go. It's always nice. And then my low light is that my dog chewed up my favorite hat. So that was just.
I would cry. I would cry.
I only have
a fellow hat guy. I would cry.
Yeah. So it sucks because I only have like 2 hats in rotation since I moved. So I immediately had to buy another hat, which was like $40 because I had to pay for shipping too. And then that was the last straw, and I bought like a $70 crate to put my dog in while I'm at work. So
that's fair.
Eating money. So it's fine.
It's the adult life, dude.
It's the adult life.
That's the post-grad life. Yeah. Just eating money constantly.
Basically. And I don't even pay rent yet. So
yeah, me either.
So man. But all right. College football playoff is set. We got Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2. I mean, not Georgia. Bama number 1, Michigan 2, Bama 3. I'm sorry. Can you do it? Can you say it?
Yeah.
Georgia 1.
We got no.
Bama
1, Michigan 2, Georgia 3, Cincinnati at number 4.
Thank you. I don't know why I kept messing that up. But
it happens.
Yeah. So I would say this was a pretty drama-free selection process.
Yeah. I mean, Baylor did the job, and I mean, not gonna this is really cheering on TCU because Baylor did the job that everyone needed them to do to make this relatively drama-free and put Cincinnati in the playoff. The only reason that Cincinnati made the playoff because they would not have put Cincinnati in the playoff if there was another well-qualified contender, not named Notre Dame, who Cincinnati beat head-to-head. So no real argument there. But the reason that Baylor did not make the college football playoff is because they got beat in Fort Worth by the TCU Horned Frogs.
Yeah.
And so thank you, Baylor. I'm not usually thankful for Baylor in any way, but thank you, Baylor. Cincinnati might lose this game by 35 points. Like, I'm not super convinced that they're going to stick around and make it an entirely fun game. But the principle, I think, is why everyone's so excited about Cincinnati making it. It's the principle of the little guy finally got a chance, and they're going to have to come at the king because they are facing the defending champion Alabama Crimson Tide.
So one thing that I really do like about Cincinnati getting a chance is that and I know everybody likes to shit on Notre Dame and OU for choking in the playoffs all the time, but most of the time during these semifinal games, the 4th seed gets blown out anyway.
Yeah. No, there is not a history of like tremendous college football games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, the best ones are going to be national championship Deshaun Watson 2016.
Say that.
Or it was in 2017, but it was the 16th season. Deshaun Watson national championship, Calvin Ridley national champion, or no, Henry Ruggs, not Calvin Ridley, same team, but Henry Ruggs national championship. Henry Ruggs. What am I talking? Devontae Smith.
There you go. The Tua Tagovailoa game.
What I'm trying to say. Yeah. Tua and Devontae. Tua's freshman year. I think Georgia, Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl was probably the best one.
For semifinals, for sure.
For the semifinals, for sure. I think I enjoyed it more just because it was such a high-scoring game. I mean, neither team – it was big plays all over the place. And if you're just looking for exciting football and you're not necessarily – you want to count in the national championship stakes with Deshaun, right? If we're just like ranking these, you want to count that in. And same with Tua. But I think the Georgia-Oklahoma game from a pure entertainment standpoint was more entertaining than either of those games.
Yeah. But I mean, in year in and year out, I mean, Ohio State's got blown out in the semifinals. Clemson's gotten blown out in the semifinals.
Oklahoma, you forget how badly LSU beat their ass in that game.
Right. And then, of course, as we all know, Notre Dame, both times they went, have been curb stomped. So it's
Notre
not
Dame
like
gets curb stomped in bowl games to begin with. They
true.
Might get curb stomped this year.
There's a good chance. But I don't know. Maybe without Brian Kelly, they'll be better in bowl games. So
yeah,
it's
maybe
like
so. It's
like
the Marcus Freeman effect already coming into effect.
But so with all that, I think, we're not really getting robbed of any experience if this game's a blowout.
No. It would be a bonus if this was a good game.
Right.
That would be the cherry on top.
Do you think so? The spread's at 13.5. Do you think there's any chance that Cincy could cover it?
No. If it gets out to 16, I may pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But I mean, 2 touchdowns that sounds about right, because Alabama is, I think, not going to try to run the ball a whole lot in this game. I think they're going to really they might run the ball a little bit, but since he's got a good defense, they're going to try to get those receivers in space.
Yeah.
Georgia had the best defense that we've seen in 10 years, and they put up 41. Why? Because they can get the ball to their receivers. They're not going to have John Mechie, but they're going to be able to put up points in this game, I think. And that just opens up the equation for maybe Cincinnati does make it a close game. Alabama can still score twice in the last 5 minutes.
Right. And Alabama's kind of played down at times to competition this season. They had a really close game against LSU, a really close game to Auburn against the backup quarterback who was no good. Another close game with Arkansas, and they lost to A&M, who went 8-4 this year, right? Or is it 9-4?
A&M was a bad loss.
Yeah. So,
objectively. I mean, if you saw Alabama that day, I think you watch the game and you'd think Texas A&M is that level of team without seeing the rest of the context of A&M season. When you watch that game, you would think these are 2 equal teams. Mm-hmm. You watch Texas A&M on any other Saturday of the year versus Bama, it's just 2 different teams. Bama shoots themselves in the foot. Mm-hmm. That's what this team does, and that's what they completely avoided doing at Georgia. They completely avoided shooting themselves in the foot the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, they just woke up and remembered who they were. I mean, and this is definitely one of those moments where, and I don't think that we do this enough, even though we do it a lot, is just really appreciate how fucking awesome Nick Saban is.
I 100% agree. I used to hate Saban when I was just, emotional college football fan. And that really started because I grew up a Texas fan. I've since been exorcised and converted of my demons there. But I've really come to appreciate in past years. And I think part of what made me so appreciative is there is on ESPN Plus, there's an episode of Detail, which is just the raw film study with pro athlete, you name it. There is a Detail episode where Nick Saban breaks down both sides of the RPO. He breaks down how to run and execute a perfect RPO, and then he breaks down how to stop the RPO. And even getting that little glimpse into the football mind that Nick Saban has and what it's like to be in a film study with him made it that much more, I had that much more respect for him just from an X's and O's standpoint. He is a genius and he is a brilliant motivator.
Right. Yeah. And it's not even considering like the recruiting aspect of what he does. And I think a little bit of pretty much this is what I feel like Saban does now as recruiting is he just puts all of his rings on and goes to a 5-star house and says, do you want to go get drafted in the first round and win championship? And they go, yeah. And he goes, come to Alabama.
No, but the best thing, and Nick Saban can do this. I'm not sure how many other coaches can do this. There are some that can, but I'm not sure how many players would buy it. When Nick Saban says it, it's legit. Right. There was a leaked audio recording, which that's another conversation into why is there a leaked audio recording of Nick Saban's recruiting pitch. But Saban said to this player, I cannot promise that you're going to start. I can't promise that you're going to play. I can promise that you're going to come here and compete against the best athletes in college football. And that if you think and you have the confidence in yourself to come play for this school, it's because you think that you can stack up against the best and you want to compete against the best and you want to become the best. And so that's the type of player that goes to Alabama, not the guy that's looking for playing time. It's the guys that are looking to compete. And I think that culture of competition, but yet disciplined competition, and controlled competition, and just the level that it takes to play at an Alabama. That's made me appreciate what a great program builder Nick Saban really is.
Mm-hmm. True. I mean, like, he's the best. He's the best. Like, there's no other way we can dance around it. We're witnessing greatness. And I think that there's going to be just a super massive black hole left when he finally retires. So, and I think people need to kind of start moving away from the whole hating Alabama and just appreciating greatness. Because, they've never been caught in any kind of scandal. They've never really cheated. We just hate them because they win every year and their uniforms are ugly. So, that's pretty much it. But moving on to that game, I think we'll probably see, 99.9% chance we're going to see Bama facing off against Michigan or Georgia, which is a game that I'm really excited to watch because these two teams match up very closely with each other.
Look, this isn't based on any my mind tells me that Georgia is going to smash Michigan. They're going to be pissed off. Michigan will not be able to run the ball whatsoever. And they are going to smash their way down the field and beat Michigan down like some of the poorer SEC teams that they played this year. Mm-hmm. That being said, my gut here tells me that Michigan is a really tough team. And they might not have comparable athletes, but they've got a better offensive coordinator, in my opinion. Not necessarily a better offense, not necessarily more talent. But I think their scheme this year specifically, with all of the creative ways that they're getting guys the ball and mixing it up and making you throw off your personnel, I think they might be able to catch Georgia napping a couple times. And I think that they have a really, really tough physical team that can match Georgia's toughness and physicality. And I think they have a real shot in this game. I'm not calling this for Georgia. I really do think they have a real shot in this game if Cade McNamara can make a few throws, which he has against some pretty damn good defenses.
Yeah, when you look at Michigan, I think their best win at Ohio State, I think some of that win was right place, right time. I think if that game was played in 70-degree weather, Ohio State would have probably won that game.
Absolutely, yeah.
But with that being said, I think Michigan's really special. I think that the way they block for their run game, the creative ways that they block are really cool. I think that McNamara is better quarterback than Stetson Bennett.
I would agree with that.
And I think their defense can hang. I mean, they play in the Big Ten. That's where defenses, come to play. I mean, they stopped CJ Stroud. Yeah, it was a cold and snowy day, but they still did it. And I don't know. I also really like the spread at 7.5. I feel like I'm going to hammer them at 7.5. But I'm just going to wait on that because I feel like most people are going to bet on Georgia and just wait for that line to just move up more in that favor.
I need that line to jump up at least 2 or 3 points for me to take Michigan.
I think you'd probably bump up by a point. I don't know about 2's a little steep, but we are also 3 weeks away now. So
there's a lot of time between.
There's a lot of time.
I think Michigan's got 2 great running backs.
That's what I was about to say.
Haskins and Blake Corum.
Yeah,
just absolute monsters in the backfield, and the ways that they can get those guys the ball, whether it be in the short passing game. Swing passes, screen passes, as well as mixing up a lot of misdirection and a lot of motion. It's really disconcerting to a defense. And the fact that Georgia loves to play man might be an interesting part of this game if they can catch Georgia on some blitzes, some quick plays, and they just have smart trick plays too. Occasionally they pull out a really good trick play.
Yeah. So, and another thing too is why I'm really hoping for Michigan win is I kind of don't want to see. I really don't want to see another all SEC championship game. Been there, done that.
No, I agree.
Like I'd rather, and seeing Harbaugh do good things at Michigan is also pretty fun to see too.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts. I was like on those games. I highlighted a couple of bowl games that I like to see. I didn't highlight all the New Year's 6 ones because. Man, it's really hard to know how hyped that we should get for some of these New Year's 6 bowls because teams don't take them as seriously.
Right. And it's trying to be a psychiatrist with all of these teams, and it doesn't always work.
Right.
Sometimes it goes really poorly. And sometimes like Florida last year, everyone knew that Oklahoma was going to smash them. And I still bet on Florida because I was like, I just wanted to fade the public.
Right.
No, Oklahoma smashed them.
Florida took that game off too, basically.
Yeah.
They played half their starters, it felt like. I mean,
all their guys went to the draft. Yeah. That's the other thing you got to watch. You got to watch who's going to the draft. That's going to be really important for some of these teams.
Like I highlighted the Alamo Bowl, which is Oregon versus OU, should be a decent game, but I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau, Oregon's best player, already declared for the draft and skipping the bowl game. I don't know how seriously OU is going to take this game with Lincoln Riley out. And, who knows what's going to happen with Caleb Williams.
I think Stoops is going to have those boys fired up.
Oh, really?
Stoops is back in the building.
Yeah.
They already got their next coach. Stoops is going to have those boys fired up.
This is a legacy game for Stoops.
Yeah.
So...
absolutely.
That'd be pretty cool. I mean, on paper, OU should definitely win this game on paper. Oregon's kind of soft. But it's still a good matchup in the bowl games because some of the other bowl games just really don't have that great. I'll tell you what I'm really excited for, though, is the Rose Bowl, Utah versus Ohio State.
That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. This is going to be – it's going to be one – oh, sorry.
Utah may have the defense to be able to put up a fight. I don't know, though. This may just be a statement game for Ohio State. They've got so many young guys who still have time left there, and they're not going anywhere.
Right. But another thing, too, is kind of like what I said, is how seriously is Ohio State going to take this, especially when they had playoff hopes or playoff aspirations. A Rose Bowl is definitely a consolation prize for that.
I'll tell you this. 11-2 with the Rose Bowl looks a hell of a lot better than 10-3 with a Rose Bowl.
Or without one for sure.
Or without a Rose Bowl, yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. You're 100% right. That's also something you could sell in the recruiting path. Man, I don't know. It's hard. That's one of the things that I've really disliked about the CFP is it has cheapened a lot of these bowl games.
Yeah, but they're going to have CJ Stroud. They're still going to have Travion Henderson. They're still going to have a lot of that defense. I'm not sure about Olave and Wilson, I assume, Justin Herbert played in the Rose Bowl. Olave and Wilson are that caliber of player. They're first rounders, no doubt. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of those guys are going to have enough pride in that specific game in the Rose Bowl. And I think they're going to use it as an opportunity. Hey, if you think Utah is bad, let's go out there and kick their ass and raise our draft stock. I think it's an opportunity for a lot of those guys.
Right. True. I just feel like Utah might have a little bit more to play for in this situation than Ohio State.
Utah is going to be juiced for this game. They're not going to have the offense to – their quarterback, I don't necessarily love their quarterback. I don't necessarily love Ohio State's defense either. We saw a physical team like Michigan able to get them earlier a couple weeks ago. So I think Utah could really make it a game.
And then another game I'm really looking forward to is the Cheez-It Bowl, this year's edition of the Cheez-It Bowl. It's not a gross matchup. It's a Clemson versus Iowa State in a pick 'em.
What do you – oh, wait, Iowa State. I thought you said Iowa.
Nah, Iowa State. Clemson, Iowa State. I feel like this is a pretty good matchup for those two teams. Iowa State, it's a letdown season for both these teams. Iowa State had Big 12 playoff, Big 12 championship, and playoff aspirations at the beginning of the season. Those died down very quickly, and Clemson, as we all know, had a offensive collapse, but got better as the season progressed a little bit.
There's also the interesting quandrum of, is Matt Campbell going to be around?
True.
You wonder if he darts for another job here. Oregon just opened up. I don't know how much of a candidate he is there. But as the coaching carousel continues to spin, Matt Campbell is going to be one of the guys that, for any bigger jobs that may open up, he's going to be a candidate.
That's true. Yeah, Oregon just opened up. I think most of them have already filled, though. Who's still looking for one now?
I'm trying to think. I don't have the list off the top of my head.
Yeah, the only one I can think of is Oregon, like you said. Miami just filled it up with Cristobal.
Which
Notre Dame
that situation is an absolute disaster.
Yeah, man, that's weird. I honestly do not like how all these big-time school coaches are going to just other big-time schools.
Well, in classic Miami fashion, like all of these schools were very let's not pretend that Brian Kelly's agent and Lincoln Riley's agent had just gotten their first call right after their last game. That's just not what happened.
Yeah, that's silly.
Those guys had been in preparation and in talks for weeks. That those contracts with fucking private jet use 24/7, like buy you a house, like those don't just get like, that's not just throwing it out there first try. Like they're not going to throw that out there unless there's a little bit of negotiation. So let's not pretend like Mario Cristobal wasn't talking to Miami this entire time while Oregon still had a shot at the playoff. Now, Brian Kelly's team still had a shot at the playoff, but they took care of business. Oregon did not. Not to mention that they were holding Manny Diaz hostage the whole time.
They were very late on firing that guy.
While he was recruiting for them, they were like, yeah, we'll pay you to still recruit for the next guy. He was like a lame duck coach, but he just hadn't officially been fired yet. And then they still don't have an AD. They didn't hire an athletic director. The board and the president and the administration made this hire. The athletic director, they didn't have an athletic director to make this hire. It's just a mess all the way around.
Yeah, shit like that just makes you realize that Miami's probably never going to be back.
No, the U is never coming back.
Which is sad because if you've seen those documentaries, the U, the 30 for 30s,
yeah,
it's sad because those are sick. But seventh floor crew and all. But nah, U's not going to be back anytime soon.
Absolutely.
And then another one, this isn't exactly like a high-powered matchup, but I think it's a pretty good one, is the San Diego Credit Union Holiday Bowl, UCLA versus NC State, who's -1. I think that's a decent
I
game to
hate these
watch.
bowl sponsors.
I know.
I hate these sponsors. No, it's a decent game. I'll probably watch it. Probably gamble on it. Probably lean in NC State. Chip Kelly might go to Oregon.
Think he go back?
The talks are that he might be the guy that they're going after.
That would be cool. I would like to see a Chip Kelly reunion. I'd be excited to see what that could bring out. But yeah, no, these were just most of the bowl games that I highlighted. I was trying to get a good mix of like primetime matchups and just highlight games that should be, we should watch leading up to the better games itself.
How about BYU just getting shafted?
Yeah, they're playing a team that was like 6-6, 7-5. Who are they playing?
8-4 UAB in the independent.
That's right, UAB.
You go 5-0 against the Pac-12. You win. No, they're not in a conference. You beat Baylor, who ended up number 7.
They lost to Baylor.
They lost to Baylor?
Yeah, they lost to Boise State and Baylor. Those are those 2 losses.
Hadn't looked as much at the resume. Either way, that's not a bad loss.
Yeah, but still, what you're saying, they won 10 games.
5-0 against the Pac-12, winning 10 games. That's nothing to smirk at. And now they're playing in the Independence Bowl
against UAB. Yeah, they got shafted pretty hard. I even saw that. I was like, why? Like, what? I would be pretty pissed off if I was BYU and their head coach, who I like a lot, by the way. Other bowl games that we should highlight. I don't know. The New Year's Six Bowl, man, kind of a lot of snoozers. Like, I don't expect.
Tell me about it. I don't want to see half of these games.
Let's see. I'm just gonna pull them up. Let's see what we got here for the other big ones. Baylor, Ole Miss,
A&M. That's not a New Year's Six.
That's another good one that I got up on the one right here.
I think Wake Forest is going to win that game. I think they're going to get up for an 11 a.m. bowl game.
Let's see. Iowa versus Kentucky in the Citrus Bowl. That fucking blows.
That is just that's going to throw this game back 30 years.
I don't even want to watch that game.
That's going to be some serious 1950s football.
Yeah. And then Oklahoma State versus Notre Dame, 2 teams that missed out on the CFP and definitely had chances. So they're going to be feeling a little low. And then Baylor, Ole Miss. So, I don't know. Lane Kiffin might be playing for his next job in this one.
Oh, he just signed an extension.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I heard some other Lane Kiffin rumors. I don't know that he could go back to.
Lane Kiffin gets rumored for every single job.
Every single job.
And I'm pretty sure it's just his agent, just throwing it out there for every single job just to see what they'll offer.
True.
But really, the reason why is because they were trying to get that extension at Ole Miss, and he just got a serious raise.
I mean, he's done a good job so far, I would say.
I agree. I mean, they're a top 10 team right now.
Yeah. But, all right. I think that's about all the college football I got in me. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I'm done. Tapped out.
All right. Let's go to some NFL, which I guess we should start with that Monday Night Football game last year and talk about the state of the Patriots.
I just want them to go away.
Right? We had 1 year.
I'm tired of it. No me gusta.
Yeah, I was kind of excited because I was like, damn, at one point in the year, I was like, oh, we're not going to see the Patriots or the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Like, this is going to be really awesome. It might be a Chiefs-Patriots championship game. So
no shot. No shot the Patriots make it. Here's my thing. I think that these days in the NFL, you know how important the run game is.
Mm-hmm.
The run game can get you to the conference title game. The run game can get you past the wild card round. They can win. It can win you your division. But the passing game wins championships. Now, And I mean, Tampa's defense did it in the Super Bowl. I still think defense is the most important aspect of the Super Bowl. I still think defense wins championships. But if you're talking about conference championships, I think in conference title games, you have got to be able to pass the ball, because at some point you need an explosive play out of your offense when everyone in the stadium knows that you're passing. And they're going to be down at some point. And when everyone in the stadium knows that they're passing, they're going to pass checkdowns. And eventually, rookie Mac Jones, he's been great. He's been clean for the most part. I don't think he's been phenomenal. I don't even think he's the rookie of the year currently. But he has played exceptionally good sound football, I think is the word that I'm trying to use.
Yeah, he was as advertised. Like everything that you liked about Mac Jones coming out, that's what he's been his rookie year.
But my point is that I don't think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, because at some point in the playoffs, they're going to have to outscore somebody through the air. And somebody is going to have them figured out. They're going to have to change their game plan. That's what happens in the playoffs. It happens every year. Is somebody who you might have trusted their quarterback all along, but that quarterback is not going to be the one that's going to carry you over the hump when everyone knows you're passing 2-minute drill and you need a touchdown, not a field goal.
I mean, he's had a couple of really good passing games this year. I mean, he had a really good passing game against Dallas. I remember that. But then they lost that game.
A lot of quarterbacks have really good passing games against Dallas.
That's also true. And then he had a really good passing game against the Titans.
I haven't talked about that game. We didn't do our NFL podcast that week. I credit to the Patriots. They kicked our ass in the second half. They were playing Tannehill and the practice squad. The Titans set the record in that game for most players ever used in a full season.
It's pretty wild. But they still beat the shit out of them, so that was kind of what they were supposed to do in that situation, right? Like, people always try to knock on teams when they beat them well. They're like, try to make excuses like for that win. But if you win an NFL game, I don't care how many players you trotted out or whatever it was. If you beat a team by double-digit points, it's kind of what you were supposed to do, right?
Yeah. No, they took care of business.
But
I don't know what I'm saying. When teams are healthy and at their best in the playoffs, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that necessarily.
I think they can, man. It's Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? Like it's Darth Sidious. The evil empire is back, except instead of Darth Vader, they got Kylo Ren now. You know what I mean? Like I can't, kind of like the same thing with Bama. Like everyone was kind of dogging on Bama a little bit going to that Georgia game. And we're like, I don't know. But you know what? Bama did it because they always have before. And that's what kind of makes me scared of the Pats.
Well, you know, the only thing I can say to that is I think there's a ceiling there.
Right.
I don't think there's potential is unlimited. I think there's a ceiling. And they might prove me wrong. I'm willing to eat my words if they prove me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think there is a ceiling.
Okay. You think they're going to win the division in the East?
Yeah. I think the Bills are a little bit I know that was a tough game, and they can't really run the ball. They passed it 30 times really out of necessity, especially against that defense. But with the weather and everything, that's going to be tough. I think the Bills can still win the division. I think they have the potential to win the division. I think the Patriots will drop a game at some point. I don't think they're going to come out of this thing unscathed.
Right.
But we'll see in a couple weeks if Josh Allen can put together a good enough game against that specific defense without 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Yeah, I will say that last night, that was probably one of my easier bets of the season.
I would say the exact same. I did not even sweat it after the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, what's been the Bills' problem the past 2 years is that they're great offense, but they can't run the ball. Pats always find different ways to win. Josh Allen didn't use his legs enough, and that win was crazy.
Yeah, no, the under was the easiest play of the year once I saw the win.
Yeah, I didn't touch it. I wish I did. I thought about going Pat's money line, parlaying it with the under, but I just stuck with Pat's spread.
The under might have been the easiest play of the year. The total, they ended up with 25. It was 39.5.
Yep. Damn, that's a low total too, and it still hit well in advance. But yeah, no, I feel like the Bills are a little bit fraudulent. I'm not gonna call them frauds, but they are giving out fraudulent vibes. They're 3-4 in their last 7. They had that first game where they dropped against Pittsburgh. Everyone's like, week 1. Then they came out firing, blew out every single bad team there was by 30 points. And then now we're here where we are now. And there's some issues. There's some serious issues. And I think that the Bills, as Super Bowl contenders, like they were pegged at the beginning of the season, was an overreaction to last year's really good season.
I would agree. I mean, I think the problem is that, we know how good Josh Allen is. We know how good he can be. We know how good Stephon Diggs is. We know what that offense is capable of, but the problem is they're not running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They are not establishing the run because Josh Allen is going to be really effective if they can establish the run, that's what Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers are doing right now. They're establishing the run, not necessarily by rushing Austin Eckler up the middle every time, but it can be in the form of a swing pass. It can be in the form of a screen pass. It can be in the form of everyone clear out and Austin Eckler just checks down. They establish the run game, so defenses are forced to respect the run. Buffalo does not establish the run game. They don't establish the fact that they can move those tough yards time after time and wear you down. And especially once it gets into winter and you're playing games up north and you're playing games in Kansas City, that's going to be a factor. And the best teams are going to be the ones that when it's freezing cold out, they can still establish the run, establish those short plays. Buffalo wants to take a lot of shots. They want Josh Allen to show off his arm. But if they can't establish the run, they're not going to be successful in the playoffs.
Yeah, which kind of brings me to our next talking point is the Chiefs, who have done a better job of establishing the run and doing the more boring things. But their offense really hasn't looked that great. Should we be concerned about the Chiefs?
Yes.
Even though they're winning games?
Absolutely. Because, they're winning ball games. But let's be honest, this is the middle of the season. A lot of teams are banged up right now. That's not an excuse. But I don't think the middle of the season can always be taken as the best sample size. We've seen this defense get gashed. Now they've fixed some of those issues, but we've seen them get gashed a lot. And again, I bring up the playoffs. Yes, they might make the playoffs, but until I see Patrick Mahomes throwing bombs again, and until I see Tyreek Hill not dropping balls, and some of these other guys, Demarcus Robinson, who's the kid? Mecole Hardman out of Georgia, Byron Pringle. Until I see some of these other guys step up, I'm not going to be convinced that this team is going to go far in the playoffs. But maybe that's the story of this season, is who looks truly dominant. We get teams look dominant for week-to-week runs. The Titans looked dominant earlier in the year. Then they lost to the Texans. The Patriots look dominant right now. The Bills were rolling and looked dominant at one point.
Mm-hmm.
All these teams look dominant at certain, when we're talking about playoff teams, they look dominant at certain points of the year, this year specifically. But throughout the year, there are a lot of lumps and there are a lot of bad stretches for all of these teams. So my question to you is, who do you think are the contenders? Who is in your conference championship contenders? Who are in your Super Bowl contenders? Maybe a sleeper team.
Man, that's tough because the AFC has just been so
it's whack
up and down, man. Because like for a second there, we thought, maybe Baltimore's the team to beat, and they're overcoming all those injuries. Well, Lamar's looked terrible passing the ball again.
Teams are blitzing him over 40% of the time. They're getting after Lamar, and it's really speeding him up. And a lot of the time, he's not getting the room he needs with some of these more athletic pass rushers to get outside the pocket and create.
Right. And then they also just lost Marlon Humphrey again, which is their third cornerback loss of the season, which is just, I just don't think that they can overcome that. I don't care how good of a coach John Harbaugh is and how many next man up they can do, like the whole next man up thing. There's a point where, you're scraping at the bottom of the barrel and there's nothing to scrape.
Man, I know the Titans have had some shit luck, but the Ravens have had the worst luck in the league this year, by far.
And then the Titans too, man, they really have looked different without Derrick Henry, which is the obvious thing to say, but it's true. Ryan Tannehill hasn't looked like the same guy. We thought for a second, hey, they beat the Rams, and then they beat who they beat after? Oh, they beat the Saints, who definitely don't look the same.
I was at that game.
Yeah, good game to go to. And then I'm trying to think who else there is. I mean, Cincinnati, the Bengals have looked really good at times this year, except for the fact that they lost the Jets, and then they had another bad loss that I can't ring off on the top of my head. And then, they just lost to the Chargers big time. And the Chargers are the same way as the Bengals, young team, look awesome. Then they look like shit, They're basically, and then I could say the same thing about like the Colts. Colts have looked awesome. They're on the outside of the playoff hunt right now, and then they look like shit. So like AFC is really crazy, and it's kind of up for anyone. I still don't believe in the Chiefs. I think they can get to the AFC Championship game, but I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl. I think this is going to be a Chiefs-less Super Bowl.
And for as critical as I was of the 7th playoff spot, it's really making this more entertaining, and it's giving a lot of – I mean, you look at the In the Hunt graphic that they have on NBC on Sunday Night Football, there are a lot of teams that are, quote, in the hunt for that 7th seed, 6th and 7th. I mean, having 3 wild card teams, it was really a good idea, I think. Now, it remains to be seen if that'll result in some good games or some upsets or what have you. But I think it's a good move. It's forced teams to say, hey, we can make the playoffs this year, even if we're not that good. We just have to be good enough to get hot at the right time. And we've just got to get some stuff together. I think it was a brilliant move on the part of the NFL, actually.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. At one point of the year, I was kind of dogging on it. I'm like, why did the NFL add this extra week? Why do we have this 7th football?
Because you look, not to talk over you, not to interrupt. You look at the amount of 7 and 9 teams that would have made the playoffs over the years, and who wants to see a 7 and 9 team in the playoff? But right now, it's really entertaining because there's a lot of teams that can make it in.
Yeah, but then a guy in the office, I heard him say adding both those things has really made the NFL a better product overall because more teams are trying hard.
Yeah,
and I was really mad when he said that because I thought I had the best takes in the office, but that's neither here nor there. But that guy was completely right. It has made it a better product. More teams are trying. Like you look at the teams like the football team, who are all of a sudden back and perhaps even a threat to win the East. I'm a little nervous. Before I thought it was book it, it's done. I'll see you in the playoffs. I mean, Cowboys are still going to go to playoffs, but it's no guarantee we win the East anymore with that. Taylor Heineke has looked a lot better. It's pretty crazy how they lost their best player and then they somehow gotten better.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they can absolutely sneak into the playoffs.
They're sixth. They're 6 seed.
I think Heineke's getting a lot better too. I think he almost looks better every week, even though he's not the greatest quarterback in the league by any means, but he's definitely become serviceable, at least. But look, they had a bad stretch in midseason, but now they're beating some good teams. They beat the Bucs. Then you get Panthers, Seahawks, Raiders. That's where I start to doubt them a little bit. We talk about strength of schedule in college football, but their strength of schedule over this, I mean, I credit to beating the Bucs. That is really, really impressive. They were really good in that game, and they really frustrated Brady a whole lot. But
yeah,
those next few games, Panthers, Seahawks, Raiders, that's not exactly giving me the most confidence that this team is going to really go far to win their division.
Oh, I don't think that they're for real, but they're a for real playoff team, which is more than that we could have said about a month ago. And I don't care who you are in the NFL or who you're playing. If you win 4 games in a row, you're at least somewhat good.
But I think they are going to be at the opposite of a team you don't want to see. I think they're going to be a team that teams kind of want to see in the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm pretty sure.
We get a playoff game against Taylor Heineke. Thank you.
I don't know. He gave the Bucs a little bit of a scare last year.
A little bit. It's a good defense.
Yeah.
Really good defense.
Well, they were really bad this year, but they've gotten better over the stretch.
They were really bad at the beginning of the year.
They were the worst defense.
They've played some bad offenses, though.
And then let's see here. Is Tom Brady the MVP?
I don't know who the MVP is right now.
I think it's Tom Brady.
You think it's Tom Brady?
1,000%. Because before I get into Tom Brady's candidacy, I'm just going to go over some of the other candidates. Kyler Murray missed 3 games. His team went 2-1 without him. And traditionally, if you miss time, you're not the MVP. Dak Prescott's play has faltered. He also missed the game. He was an MVP candidate up there. Josh Allen's MVP candidacy has gone way down. And then you also factor into Aaron Rodgers, which he's having another MVP caliber season, but there's 2 reasons why I don't think Rodgers is going to win MVP. One is that he won it last year, and it's super hard to go back-to-back. Another, though, is the whole COVID vaccine thing. The people who give the MVP are NFL writers, and the people who were the most pissed off about that whole situation, however you feel about it, were NFL writers.
Great point. You took the words right out of my mouth. Aaron Rodgers is my personal MVP choice. I thought it was Lamar, but Lamar's had some real shit games lately. I think it's either Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers for me. But you could certainly argue Brady, with the record and the stats.
So listen to the stat. On Sunday, he had his 6th game of the year where he threw 4 or more touchdowns. Any other player that has done that, has thrown 6 games of at least 4 or more touchdowns, has won the MVP. And it's happened like 5 other times.
It's a fair point. I think if
if
we're looking at most valuable player, Brady's got a pretty good offense around him. Certainly a better supporting cast than Aaron Rodgers had.
That's true. I don't know. It's Valdez Scantling and Lazard are better this year. Of course, he has Devontae, who's, I think we can safely say that he's the number 1 wide receiver in the league. And then he has Aaron Jones as his running back, and he has a pretty damn good RB2. And why am I blanking on his name?
Played a game with a third string left tackle this year.
That's true too.
He played with a patchwork offensive line this year.
Yeah.
And he's still just an absolute freak of nature.
He's still doing Aaron Rodgers things, yeah.
He is so, like, Brady never had that kind of mobility, and Aaron Rodgers is still doing it at 38.
Right. You're right, 100%. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you that, Aaron Rodgers isn't, like, the best or second best player right now. Like, I love watching him play, even though I hate watching him crush my hopes and dreams like he's done, I don't know, about 5 times, I feel like now. But no, he's electric, man. He's fucking awesome. He's probably going to go down in history, I would say, as the 3rd best quarterback of all time, right behind Brady and Manning.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Rodgers is a beast. There's just certain guys who you watch and you go, this guy.
How did he do that?
When you watch college quarterbacks and even some NFL quarterbacks, they'll throw it a little bit behind the guy to where he has to stop when he could have been running another 5-10 yards. They'll throw it high to where the receiver has to stop and get it, and then the receiver gets hit in the ribs, and they have to make a tough catch. Aaron Rodgers specifically, and there are other quarterbacks that do this, Tom Brady being one of them, just puts it on the absolute money every single time, right where it needs to be.
Yeah, I agree. And then, okay, we got 2 more things to go through on this list. So first thing I want to address, so there are last 2, is that the Lions get their first win of the season. How happy are you?
I'm happy for Dan Campbell.
Right?
I'm a Dan Campbell fan.
I think everyone is.
Watching him cry in that press conference earlier this year was tough.
Yeah, I felt that. I felt that hard.
Yeah. I think it's huge for that franchise. I think it's good for Jared Goff to get a little confidence back. At the same time, what the hell are the Vikings doing?
Everyone needs to stop gaslighting people into trying to tell people that Kirk Cousins is good. He's not good. Like,
people need to stop gaslighting Kirk Cousins. In general.
Yeah, it's I cannot stand that guy. I think he's just the most overrated, overpaid guy. I mean, he's good, but he's just, I don't know. He throws it behind the sticks. He's got 2 of the best wide receivers in the league. Probably, top 3 wide receiver duo. He has Dalvin Cook. Their offensive line is decent, and he still can't get it done.
I think what you said about, well, he's good, but that's the death sentence.
Right. And no, he's not it, man. He's not it. And all these people are like, Kirk Cousins is good. You can win. All right, he had that 1 playoff game win. That was nice. Good for him, but whatever. Like, I'm over it. Stop trying to talk me into Kirk Cousins. It's not happening. It's not a thing.
Kirk Cousins, next quarterback of the Carolina Panthers.
It's not a bad prediction. It's not a bad prediction.
I might run with it.
Yeah. Mike Zimmer might be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. I don't know. Mike Zimmer's definitely going to be gone.
Rule gets fired.
There's a chance.
I don't think so. I think they're going to give him another year, let him try to find an actual quarterback somewhere.
That's true.
Because Cam, I never got the chance to unload this on the blanket coverage. Cam sucks now.
Oh, he's awful.
Cam is dog water. Just absolute. And it's sad to see because he was really great back in the day. But he just is terrible now.
Yeah, he should like retire. That's how bad he is. Like, he shouldn't even be a backup anymore. Like, I don't even want to watch him play. It's like watching.
Go ahead.
It's like watching Big Ben almost, just a dying dog.
I was about to bring that up. I was going to say that was a great segue to Ben Roethlisberger. It's like watching that's exactly right. It was like watching my 13-year-old golden retriever with horrific arthritis that probably had a stroke
and hip dysplasia
walk around and just like bumps his head into things and like falls over and just kind of lays around the whole time.
You're just keeping him around because of the glory days. Like that's what he's like.
And then you just watch him die one day. And that's why Big Ben needs to retire, because I don't want Big Ben to die.
Right. He might. Sometimes it looks like his arm just died on the field halfway through his throw.
Yeah.
Like, especially, and it's happened.
Like, put one in the dirt. He's like a bad pitcher.
Well, it's happened at least more than 5 times. And I don't watch a whole lot of Steelers games, but I've seen this happen a lot, where it's the fumble or the incomplete pass where he tries to pump fake and it just.
Yeah.
And it's like, but what are we doing here, buddy?
But Big Ben used to have the best pump fake of all time.
It's true.
At one point in his career, he could literally just do that, and your whole defense would be fucked.
Right. But it's not there anymore. Which he is now. It's been reported. They said private conversation that this is, quote, his last year as quarterback for the Steelers. So do you think that, which we at first glance we're like, oh, he's going to retire, but do you think that there's a chance that he leaves the Steelers and tries to just show up somewhere else and do a little Phillip Rivers?
0. You cannot come back from what Big Ben is going through right now.
No, I agree too. But if there's anybody to do it,
like he looks bad now.
Right.
Like he does not look like he's having a good time out there.
No. Like this is probably worse than Peyton Manning's drop off. And Peyton Manning was terrible that last year.
Yeah, but Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl
behind an all-time defense.
100%.
I'm trying to think of other drop-offs.
I'm sure he was a little bit happier than Ben's going to be at the end of the year this year.
Yeah, that's very true. But, I mean, are we going to miss him? I mean, he's definitely one of the all-time Hall of Famer quarterbacks. 7th all-time in passing yards. Most ever 500-yard passing games with 3. No one else has ever had 2. And then, of course, the 2 Super Bowls, and he's been around since 2004. Like, what is it going to be like watching a Pittsburgh Steelers team without Big Ben?
I was about to say, recency bias tells me I've had some good runs with Ben. It's time to go. Mm-hmm. It's like accepting the dead dog. It's like it's time to go, buddy.
I've definitely written an article about aging quarterbacks and that they should just, when it's time, they should just hang up the cleats. They shouldn't do this extra 2 or 3 years. Tom Brady has just gaslit into all these guys thinking they could play an extra couple of years when they just can't. They didn't go on the TB12. My favorite thing, though, about this Big Ben last year is he was like, oh, I'm going to start an even stricter diet than Brady. And it's like, well, Ben, the difference is Brady started this diet when he was 27. You're starting it when you're 38, when you're eating like shit for 15 years. So it's a little different.
Hey, Ben, maybe you lay off the Busch Light, buddy.
Yeah. So it's going to be gone. NFL will be a little bit different, but I think it'll be a little bit better.
I'm excited to see who becomes the next Steelers quarterback.
Dewey Haskins?
Absolutely not.
I don't
Mason
know.
Rudolph, run it back.
I don't want to see that either.
No one wants to see that.
No one wants to see that.
I don't think Mike Tomlin wants to see that.
No, they'll probably draft somebody. Kenny Pickett? That would be cool.
Ooh, I think you might be onto something there.
I'm actually going to campaign for that now.
You should.
Even though, Pitt, 2 Steelers, he knows Heinz Field. He's not necessarily looked at as like a top 5 guy. He could probably go in the top. I think he could go like 10, 15, like Mac Jones maybe.
He could be in prime position for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, if they miss the playoffs, they'll probably be
13, 12.
I was going to say like more like 17th. They're still winning games here and there.
Yeah.
Because that's still like,
Yeah.
I think they'll be like at 500. So I would say,
I think they'll be around 14 or 15.
yeah. Okay. That's Kenny Pickett. It's Kenny Pickett time.
Kenny Pickett territory. Absolutely.
I'm calling it now.
All
Steelers
right.
drafting Pickett.
You heard it here. Call your shot.
All right. That's all we got. Let's break it. Let's end it down. Some love or loathe it.
Let's do it.
Do you want to go first or me?
You go.
All right. So Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to have season-ending surgery.
Loathe it.
Okay.
It's tough. It's a tough statement. I hate that I had to think about that for a sec.
I know. Remember when everyone got excited about that, or Ryan Fitzpatrick coming, and then we just never got to see it.
Yeah.
Kayvon Thibodeau is going to declare for the NFL draft and is skipping Oregon's bowl game.
Love it. Don't care about the Alamo Bowl.
Alamo Bowl's had some electric games. I don't know. That's for TCU they have, but Nuggets center Nikola Jokic and Bulls center Nikola Vucevic are apparently really good friends and play a lot of Counter-Strike together.
Love it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what Counter-Strike is.
Oh, okay. Well then it's a super nerdy PC game. I sometimes gamble on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Just look it up. It's pretty intense. But all right, hit me with those last three.
All right, multiple sources have reported that Zion now weighs 330 pounds. He was 285 when he entered the league.
I love it. I love it. Fat Zion is here to stay. He is eating his way out of New Orleans like Harden did in Houston. And it's the funniest thing to happen this year in the NBA season by far.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Bears offense is averaging 173.8 passing yards per game. For reference, the Bears passing game from 1943 to 1947 averaged 189.5.
I love it. Matt Nagy is
he's going down.
Is the most incompetent head football coach I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
He's never going to get an OC gig anymore.
I wouldn't touch him.
He's going to go be an analyst for Nick Saban.
Probably something. I don't know. Even you remember Ben McAdoo, head coach for the Giants? So apparently he's like an offensive assistant for the Cowboys. So like these guys, they still stick around as coaches. They just don't get good jobs.
Yeah.
So we might still see Nagy poking around here and there. But
I will bet you money if I get plus odds on Matt Nagy ending up at Alabama.
Okay. That's fair. And then hit me with that last one.
All right. Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis are on the trade block, as well as Karis LeVert, who's coming back from a season-ending injury. I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I loathe it. Pacers are going full-on rebuild. Just tanking
they need it.
Fun to see. Yeah, they need it.
I kind of love it.
Yeah,
somebody's going to get good players out of this if they decide to go for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll take the OKC route and just have an abundance of draft picks, and they don't even know who's going to be good.
Blazers.
But all right,
Dame Lillard in Indiana.
No way.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. All right, that's our show. Everybody, thank you for listening. We'll be back on Thursday. Ryan will be back on Thursday for a Thursday episode. All right, tune in then. Thanks for listening. Got anything else to say?
Nope.
All right.
I'm all good.
All right.